I'm probably gonna get like a lot of question marks, like a lot of people like, why is she making this video? Like, you shouldn't be eating Wendy's when you have diabetes. That's not the case. It's not how it happens. It's not real life. All of that to say, you have options. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Mila Clark Buckley, the Hangry Woman, and today I am going to talk about how to eat a diabetes-friendly or low-carb or even sometimes keto version of Wendy's so that when you go out, you have some options. I know now that things are opening back up, a lot of us are kind of like running and gunning. We're on the go a lot more. And it's always nice to have some options in your back pocket when you have to eat out and you're not at home. So I am going through restaurant menus of all sorts to comb through and find the dishes that can help you with blood sugar management. They're lower in carbs, lower in saturated fat, high in like the healthy fats and protein and good macronutrients for you. Not to say that carbs are bad. That is not what I'm saying when I do any of these videos or when I write anything about low carb. Carbs are not bad. We need carbs. Carbs are critical to our function. But as you know, for people with diabetes, blood sugars are very hard to manage. And when you go to a place like Wendy's, everything on the menu seems like it has like 50 grams of carbs or more, which is a little high for us, especially if you're not bolusing and correcting your blood sugars with insulin and you are not on medication. So if you're trying to manage kind of just the diet and exercise route, I have a few options that you can have at Wendy's that don't seem to spike blood sugars. They didn't for me. So I know everybody is different, but it was really cool to be able to like find these things, try them out, see if they actually had any impact on my blood sugar, which of course they did because they have carbs in them, but they were better options for me. And I do correct with insulin, so I didn't have to correct with as much, which was really nice for me. But these are just some good options to have in your back pocket. Before we start the video, if you don't know, my name is Mila. I have latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, which is a slow progressing form of type 1 diabetes. I've got a bunch of videos on all of my diabetes diagnoses because I've had a couple. And I make videos about diabetes and about diabetes living. So if you like that kind of stuff, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And let's get into the video. I also want to make a small note that I do have a fully written out version of this video on my blog. I'll leave it in the description box below so you can get the link, and it's something that you can bookmark and just pull up for later when you happen to be like in the drive-thru or you're on the road and you need something and maybe a Wendy's is around. I do plan to do more videos about different restaurants, like I said before, so look out for those because I'm going to lay it all out. I have been doing so much research on a lot of these things, and I wanted to be able to provide good options for everyone. So I talked way too much in that intro. I'm so sorry. I'm going to put chapters in this so you guys can skip through. Now let's get started. So keep in mind that cooking at home is probably still going to be your best bet. But if you're on the road and you need something and this is like the only option that you have, you do have some choices. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that there were some good choices at Wendy's that were actually tasty and like didn't really like dumb down their menu. So there are some things that you can eat off the menu that don't really need any tweaking. There are other things that need some major tweaking. And then there are some tips I'll give you about things that you can order and that they will make for you and that kind of make your job easier when you're looking for what you need. So I'm defining low carb here also because everybody has a different definition of low carb, and I really could not, like by scouring the internet, find the true definition of low carb. Something that I read said that 150 grams of carbs per day, like for the entire day, is considered low carb. So I took that to mean roughly 30 grams of carbs per item or per meal, and then 15-ish grams of carbs per snacks. You may define it a little bit differently. 30 is actually a very comfortable threshold for me. I can typically eat about 30 grams of complex carbs and not have too big of a spike. So whether that be like pasta or tortillas or bread, those are all actually examples of simple carbs, but non-processed carbs, I guess. Some of those things are processed, some of them are not. There's so much language around it. But anyway, I took that to mean 30 grams of carbs or less per item. And then the other criteria was that it was kind of like lower on the saturated fat side, because people with diabetes, we are at risk for heart issues. And so we want to make sure that we keep that saturated fat pretty low. And so I wanted to make sure that on that end, saturated fat was lower. I also wanted to present options that would actually fill you up and have enough fiber and keep you full. So I could say like, you know, a junior fry is 30 grams of carbs, but that's not going to keep you full. That's not going to help with your cravings. That's not going to like tide you over until the next meal. So I didn't include things like that. I included things that I thought I tried that kept me full, that were satisfying and still delicious, but also kind of met all of those criteria and those parameters. The first thing is the Parmesan Caesar salad. It's about 7 grams of carbs, and that's with the salad and the dressing, and it's about 3 grams of dietary fiber. I chose this option first because it is the thing that you have to modify the least on the menu. You can literally order this thing as is, and it's still gonna be pretty low in carbs, sizable portion, and also just really delicious. One of the things that they did for this Caesar that I thought was really interesting was that they used Parmesan crisps instead of croutons. And so while that does add some fat to the salad, it gives you still that nice crunch without the carbs. And it also has like a little bit of saltiness. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had like dried Parmesan crisps, but they're like crispy and salty. So you get that nice crunch that you kind of crave from croutons normally in a Caesar salad without all of the extra added carbs. Next is the jalapeno popper salad, and this is a great option. However, it does come with fried chicken as the protein option. So what I would do is swap out the fried chicken, ask them for grilled chicken instead. It'll take it from like 34 grams of carbs to around 17, which is like a huge difference. And then you can still have it with the dressing. The dressing does have a lot of fat in it, but it does taste good. Fat is flavor, so it does taste good. But you can kind of have like the carb reduction there by just swapping out the fried chicken for the grilled chicken, and then you lower the saturated fat, you lower the carbohydrates, and you still get a really good salad. You could also take out, I think there's like jack cheese in it if you wanted to. For me, honestly, I feel like adding cheese to a salad, unless it's Parmesan, like it doesn't really, I personally feel that it tastes the same with or without the cheese. So I would take the cheese off. That gets rid of some additional fat and then saves you some calories as well. I just personally I don't know. I just feel like for American cheeses, specifically like cheeses made in America, it's like so processed that it doesn't taste like anything to me. So I tend to leave it off because it adds a whole bunch of extra stuff when I can't even taste it in the end. So I would say that that's like a good route to go if you're thinking about doing the jalapeno popper salad. The Southwest avocado salad is the next one. It's also like pretty spot on as is. Again, it has some shredded jack cheese on it. You can take that out. I don't think it makes the salad any better, quite honestly. It just adds more fat and calories. And then you get the healthy fats from the avocados. You get 16 grams of carbohydrates in the entire salad with 6 grams of dietary fiber, which is awesome. So that's a really good salad to go with. Like I said, it's one of the ones that you can order almost straight off the menu without making any substitutions. That one does come with grilled chicken instead of fried chicken, so you don't even have to worry about making that swap. But if you want to double check, you can always ask them. And yeah, like I love avocado in salads. This has great vegetables in it, lots of nice crunch. It's tasty and flavorful. So great one to go with if you plan to just order straight off menu without many substitutions. Okay, so burgers and chicken sandwiches, because we know salads are good. We know we can always get a salad and it's safe, but what about their burgers and their chicken sandwiches and their sides? So for burgers and chicken sandwiches, you can order them 3 ways. You can order them with a bun, which is the way that they come. You can order them bunless, which will mean that it comes in a salad container with like a little bit of silverware on the side. You can get all of your condiments put into the little container on the side. They won't be on top of the burger or sandwich. And then you can also order it in a lettuce wrap, which will remove the bun and then they will wrap it in lettuce so you can still hold it like a burger and not like a salad in the container and still enjoy it that way, but without the carbs from the bread. 2 things about Wendy's burgers. They are delicious. We know that they are so good, but they are so high in saturated fat, especially because they come in single, double, triple, which is just like astronomical in terms of calories and fat. It's no carbs because it's all meat, but it is a lot of fat. So I think it's really important to remember to stick to a single patty. It's going to have the least saturated fat, and you can top it with anything you want. Top it with all the veggies in the world. Put tomatoes, put lettuce, put onions, like throw all of that stuff on there so that you still do have some of those veggies, some of that freshness and that crunch along with like the richness of that burger. And you can save yourself carbs in that way. As for chicken sandwiches, they come in 2 ways, either fried and breaded or grilled. And so you're always going to be better off going with the grilled option, but you can get any of their sandwiches grilled. So if you do still want to get that sandwich with the bun, just go for the grilled option instead of the fried option. You can still have the bread. You can still have, you know, what's on the sandwich. That's not going to be low carb, obviously, because of the bread, but you can also get those either in a chicken sandwich form or a bunless form inside of the container and, you know, top it like you did with a burger with all the condiments and all the stuff that gives you that extra freshness. Okay, and then for sides. So personally, in my life, and lots of y'all will disagree, and that's okay because you are not in my body or in my mouth, I will have fries. I love fries, as everybody does. They're crispy, they're delicious, they're like pillowy when they're good. You know, they're all of these things. But I don't have fries all the time. I try to limit them to times where my blood sugar is maybe on the lower side when I'm like kind of deciding to balance things out. And so typically I'll order like a side salad or no side at all. And so for Wendy's, sorry to say, the fries are just like anywhere else, an incredibly high carb count and lots of saturated fat. It's a treat. So I think you have to take it with a grain of salt, but if you want to make some swaps, Wendy's does have some apple slices, which are about 8 grams of carbs per little packet. It's like this little, I don't know, like little plastic baggy kind of sealed thing with apple slices in it with fruit. So that is one option if you want to swap it out for fries. You could also go for a small chili as your side instead, which has a lot of fiber. It's about 22 grams of carbs, whereas a small fry is 36 grams of carbs. So you are saving in the carb count arena, but with your sandwich or like whatever you get as your main item, it's still probably going to be a pretty high carb count for your meal. So that's just to consider, like, you know, if you feel as though you want a side and you don't want fruit, maybe chili can be a great side. It's very filling, has lots of fiber, but it is going to add like a larger carb count to your meal overall. Okay, and then tips just in general about having a meal at Wendy's. So number 1, they will make it how you ask them to. So don't be afraid to ask. Like, and I think this is true of most restaurants. Now that people have like lots of dietary restrictions, allergies, things like that, like restaurants have become way more accommodating. So if you just ask, like typically they'll make it how you want it. You just have to ask for it, and don't be afraid to ask for it or feel like you are, I don't know, asking for too much or putting them out by asking them to make something in the way that you want it. That's okay. Like I said, they're going to do it for you, and it's not a big deal. It's a part of the process of being in the kitchen. So it's not a big deal if you ask for a swap. Make sure you ask for condiments that you want on the side. If not, they'll put them on the burger. It's okay to ask for them on the side. They will place them to the side for you or take them off entirely if you don't want them. That also saves you some carbs because, as we know, like things like ketchup have a lot of sugar and are higher in sugar than you would actually think. So it's nice to get those on the side. Then you can kind of like put on the portion that you feel like is right for you. Low carb breakfasts at Wendy's are kind of tough because everything comes on a biscuit, a bun, or a croissant, which are high in carbs, and high in carbs. So you might want to skip breakfast at Wendy's. That's a harder meal to tackle. But if you do have to eat them, you could take off one bun to kind of lower the carb count. You could eat half the sandwich or split it with somebody, which would also be like really helpful in lowering the carbohydrate count. You can take the bun off completely and just have it as like, you know, typically it's like bacon and eggs or sausage and eggs on a sandwich. You could take off the bun, eat it by itself, things like that. So just be mindful of the kinds of swaps that you can make and know that like not everything can be made into a low carb swap, but you do still have a lot of options. Finally, the smallest Frosty, which I know it's like, it's the elephant in the room. It's like you go to Wendy's, you get a Frosty. Even the tiniest Frosty has about 30 grams of carbohydrates in it. I think it's the junior size. So not that they're off limits, but you want to be aware and have an awareness of how many carbs you're consuming in that meal, because between a sandwich and whatever side you get and a Frosty and potentially a drink, which they have loads of sugar-free options. So that's like actually not a worry. You really have to think about like what this all adds up to. And so while a Frosty itself isn't a negative thing to eat or negative thing to have, in the context of your meal, it might spike your blood sugar. So it's just good to think about those things and know like the junior tiniest little baby size is still a lot of carbs. I was shocked. I honestly have had like in my life, like, I mean, not recently, because like I have more of an awareness, I think, now about how much sugar or how many carbs are in something just because I have to carb count for insulin. And it was wild to me when I learned that like the junior Frosty had 30 grams of carbs in it. I was like, that little baby thing, like I drink it in 2 minutes. Like, how does it have 30 grams of carbs in it? But it does. And so it's just good to have an awareness of these things and know, because it'll just help you make better decisions in the long run. Because maybe you want the burger and fries that day, full bun, full French fries, and that's okay. If you make that decision, that is all right. But you kind of have to know and have like an awareness of, what is this going to do to my blood sugar? Because at the end of the day, it might not be the best thing for you that day, and you have to make that decision for yourself. And I have plenty of times made the decision where like today is a bunless burger type of day. I can't get away with it. That's just what I have to do today. And then I've had days where I've been like, today is a full bread, full bun, get all the carbs kind of day. And that's just the decision I make. So at the end of the day, at the end of all of this, like these are just options for you. I'm not telling you directly you have to eat this or you have to eat that. One, because I can't, because that is not my profession, but it gives you some options that you can think about and that may help you decide and make a better decision when you do have to eat out and you feel like you're limited in choices. And I know that for me, one of the things that I always struggled with and that I was always frustrated with was like, I don't really know my options. And like, if I'm going out to a restaurant with a friend and, you know, they spring it up on me, it's not necessarily like a Wendy's, but like if I'm going out, you know, I do a lot of research on the menu before I even go somewhere, because I'm like, okay, how much insulin am I going to take that day? What's this going to be like for my blood sugar? Like factoring in, am I going to be exercising? Factoring in like, okay, here's something maybe like high carb that I could have if my blood sugar is low that day, or here's something low carb that I could have if my blood sugar is higher that day, and just making all of these calculations and all of these thoughts. And I always wish that somebody would have written it down for me and would have said, okay, here's the deal. Like, here are the options that you have. Like, you don't just have to eat a Caesar salad off the menu. You have different ways that something can be prepared so that it does meet the goals that you have. And so that's why I plan on doing this series like this with other restaurants and kind of giving you insights into what you can change to like make things fit better for you, because I want people to feel like they have options. And that is the thing that I hear from people with diabetes the most, is that we don't feel like we have options. We feel like we have to eat kale and grilled chicken every day from the day we're diagnosed to the day we die. And that's not necessarily true. And while Wendy's is not like the everyday thing that you should be eating, you know, you should definitely be cooking at home, definitely be eating more vegetables, looking at like salad options and like lots of greens and lots of veggies and lean proteins and foods that are, you know, going to be good for you in the long run. But it's not as simple as saying like once you're diagnosed with diabetes, you're never going to eat food out, or you're never going to go to Wendy's or, you know, go to any other place. And so I think it's really important that we realistically know what our lives will be like, and we find realistic options that will help us meet the goals that we have for our blood sugars. So, you know, I'm probably going to get like a lot of question marks, like a lot of people like, why is she making this video? Like, you shouldn't be eating Wendy's when you have diabetes. But the truth is that there are options out there for us. And like the other truth to me is that it's not realistic to say that you're just never going to ever eat out at a restaurant ever. Like, you might as well be able to find the options that you need and that are tasty and that you're going to be satisfied by, so that you don't go overeat later and you don't go crazy and go ham when you still feel hungry after having eaten like a huge meal. Like, it's just not, I don't know. I just feel like it's not realistic to have the mindset that like as a person with diabetes or a patient with diabetes, you're never ever going to eat out, because that's just not that's not the case. It's not how it happens. It's not real life. So that's why I sought out these options, and I'm seeking out more options, because I do feel like there are healthy options at different restaurants, and it's all about looking for them and kind of knowing what you can swap and how you can swap it, and then being comfortable and confident enough to say like, you know, this is how I want it, and they'll do it for you. Like, I've never had anybody yell at me at the drive-thru being like, I'm not going to make your sandwich this way. It's just never happened. Like, they're good with it and they do it. And I think now, like I said before, that people have to be accommodated for so many other things. It's normal. Like, it's normal to ask for your sandwich to be bunless. They get it. They know. Like, they see it. And if you can't get it bunless, get it regular and then take the bun off and throw it away, or have some lettuce at home that you can like wrap your sandwich in, whatever. Like, if you don't feel comfortable with it, it's okay, you know, get it as is and then strip it down how you want, or like accommodate yourself if you feel more comfortable doing it that way. So all of that to say, oh, I'm tired. All of that to say, you have options. You have options, and it's okay to exercise those options. And I'm really glad if you do. All right, guys, hopefully that was helpful. Like I said before, I have a link with this all fully written out on my blog. I left it down below in the description box. If you have any other restaurants you want me to cover, please leave that down in the comment section below. I plan to tackle everything. Like, I live in Houston, Texas. I think you guys know. So we have like, options over options over options. So I will do my best to cover like everything that I can. And I'm going to do all the basics that kind of exist everywhere. I just thought of Wendy's first, so that's why it's the first one. But I will also just do everything, like everything that I can possibly do. And I'm trying all of these things out as well to make sure that they actually taste good, so that I can share those with you. And then you guys know that they are good options to eat. So that was good, yeah? All right, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I love having this community together. You guys are so sweet and so awesome, and always just have the nicest things to say. And you're all beautiful people, and I'm glad to know you, and I have come to know you because you subscribe to my channel. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.